Today, we're going to make an electromagnet. Not the strongest one in the world, but an electromagnet. Making an electromagnet is pretty simple. You only need a couple of things which you may have lying around the house. You need a coated wire. I got this from, honestly, I don't know. I took something apart and there was some wire with it. So, thin coated wire. You also need a nail. This is a good size nail. You also need a battery, one that has charge in it. Tape or hot glue. Tape is probably a little easier. And you'll need some paper clips. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to strip the ends of the wire. Now, if you have a wire stripper at home, you're good to go. If you don't, you're going to need some help with this one. The way you strip a bit of wire is without cutting through it. You take a sharp blade, like a razor blade or a knife, with a parent's help, and you just carefully cut off the outer coating. Leave the coating on the rest of it, the plastic. Right? And you do that to both ends, and you leave, I don't know, about a half an inch, maybe an inch. This can be tough. It's easy to cut through these wires. Okay, so 2 bare ends of wire. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your nail, leave yourself a little extra hanging off the end, and you're going to start wrapping. Around and around and around. You can wrap it like this, and then squeeze it back down if you like, and around and around and around and around. And then on the end, leave yourself a little extra, a little tail on each end. It's going to want to get away from you here, so maybe you take a little tape, and you just take a little piece of tape. Just kind of keep that on, because it's going to want to try to unravel. And you're pretty close to being done here. All you need to do now is attach it to the ends of a battery. What I find is easiest, take a bit of tape, tape it onto the negative end first, the flat end. Tape sticks better to the flat end. Tape it on, and then you connect it. And now there is an electrical charge, not much, just 1.5 volts, flowing through the wire. And you are able then to pick up things with it. So what's going on here? How does this work? Because the moment that electrical charge is not running through that wire, it's not magnetic anymore. All right? The nail itself, by itself, in this case, is not magnetic without the electricity. And as we've discussed in class, if you've had class with me yet about magnetism, electricity and magnetism are really 2 parts of the same thing called electromagnetism. What's happening is the flow of electrons comes from one end and it goes around and around and around and around the coiled wire. So electricity is flowing through the coiled wire and we have a circuit. Inside, the magnet doesn't pick up any of the electricity, but the electrons flowing through all these coils, it forces the nail to become magnetic. So the electrons basically allow the electrons in the iron to align in just a way that it creates a magnetic field, and that magnetic field then will attract other things with iron in them, other things that are magnetic. But once that flow of electrons stops, electrons in the iron go back to their regular state, which is not magnetic, and we lose the magnetic field. It's not magnetic anymore. So, now that you've made your basic electromagnet, it's time to experiment. Mess around with it. What's the heaviest object you can pick up with it? What would happen if you used fewer coils? Or what would happen if you got a longer wire and wrapped it around more times, or you used a bigger nail? What would happen if you used like a big bolt instead of the nail, or a screw? What would happen if you used a butter knife or a fork? Would it work? I don't know. What would happen if you used a bigger battery, or 2 put together, or a different type of battery, like a 9-volt battery? Would it still work? Is this stronger? Is it the same? What would happen if you just used plain wire with no plastic coating on the outside? Feel the nail after having used the magnet for a while. Do you notice it got warm? Why do you think it got warm? What happens if you flip the battery over? Does it work the same way, either way? So try to think of some ways. What made this electromagnetic field stronger or weaker? What made it better or worse? Have fun!